What is up, and welcome to the All Basketball Podcast. We just don't like to discuss basketball. We like to debate basketball. And once again, I'm your host, Maurice Dixon, coming to you on the eve of July 21st, one day after the Milwaukee Bucks captured the 2021 NBA title by beating the Phoenix Suns in 6 games. Suns won the first 2 games, and Milwaukee came back to win the last four. I don't know how you classify that. No one's really come up with a name for that. I mean, it's not a gentleman's sweep, but uh, it's just, I guess, once they made the adjustment, they didn't lose again. And that was kind of crazy to see. Phoenix had a couple of opportunities to definitely get one of those. Maybe not the really the last four. Get really the last 3 games. Game 4 they were kind of game 3 they were getting handled, but then game 4 you had Chris Paul fall. Then game 5 Booker got stripped by Holiday, leading to that Giannis dunk, and then Milwaukee just kept that rolling. Giannis wins MVP, 50 points, 14 rebounds, 5 blocks, and who would have known 17 of 19 from the free throw line? Who would have thought? I mean, the man just got there and knocked him down. And at one point, I guess he hit so many straight till he missed that last one late. But what a performance from him. Emotional afterwards, because he overcame so much. Glad to see him finally get that coveted title. Sad for some of the guys on the other side. Christian brother Monty Williams, good guy. All he's been through as well. Reaching the point he did, but everybody can't win, unfortunately. And Chris, uh, salute to Chris Paul. He showed out. Uh, 26 points, shot well, didn't get a lot of assists, and had more turnovers than usual, but didn't play a bad game. But Booker was just off and just wasn't Phoenix's night. Henry, thoughts on the Bucks wrapping this thing up and getting their first title in 50 years?
Well, I'm glad for Giannis. You know, um, he's been, playing great. MVP 2 times MVP, and so I was happy, happy for him, and especially how he played in the finals as well. And he, you know, he's an amazing player, and he sticks to who he is. That's one thing I can really appreciate about him. He doesn't try much to be something he's not. You know, he tried some to shoot some threes, but in the year, but he didn't just say, okay, now I'm going to just try to turn into this 3-point shooter. Which is the way the league has been going, especially when it comes to big men. It's like, okay, you have to be a decent 3-point shooter. But, he was able to overcome that and still, use his skill set. And I mean, see how he played, even, especially in, the game 7, both ways, just seeing what he was doing, offense and defense, seeing the effect that it had on Phoenix, on the Suns, on the players. They were, they looked disheveled, especially in the fourth quarter. I mean, even when it was like, 4 or 5 minutes left. I mean, it wasn't like they, a big lead or anything, but the team was like, I don't know, they looked rattled. You could tell they were rattled. They, mentally, a lot of them were rattled. Well, not necessarily to say Chris Paul was rattled, but you give the ball to somebody else and they're looking and they're like, oh my goodness, and where's Giannis? And he's right there. That's where he, he's all over the place and disrupting everything. So I wanted CP3 to win it, but at the same time, like you said, somebody has to lose, so I am glad that Giannis was able to win as well. Um, the Bucks, man, I guess getting rid of old Bledsoe, getting Holiday was definitely was with what they needed because Bledsoe, man, even with the Pelicans. But um, yeah, so I'm happy for them, and we'll see how it goes next year because a lot of different things had to fall into place, a lot of different various injuries and things like that. So with the Nets and different other teams, so we'll see, next year how everything is if their other teams are healthy and stuff like that. So
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely have something to prove. I mean, they already I think they're Vegas already has them third as far as the who's favored to win next year. But Keion, your thoughts on the Bucks wrapping that thing up and getting that title?
The thing that I saw the most when it came to this series was Milwaukee finally got it together on being a complete team. And that's something that was kind of the struggle for them when it went against, Brooklyn, because I mean, the overall was that Giannis had to play big against Brooklyn. When they went against the Hawks, Middleton had to come up. They did have one really good game where four of them scored 20 plus against the Hawks, and they played like a complete team. And you were hoping that you would see that team in the finals with Giannis, and that's exactly what happened. Um, they kind of stepped away. They finally adapted, and that was kind of like the biggest criticism for Mike Bud was that could he adapt against in the finals, and that's exactly what he did. If you looked on offense, Brooke Lopez and Giannis kind of stepped away from shooting the three that much. They went inside game. Brooke looked like New Jersey Brooke. I didn't think I would ever see him again. And he showed up and had his contributions. They just look like a way more complete team than the Suns. You can definitely see why the Milwaukee Bucks won 4 games in a row after losing the first two. Um, Bobby Portis did the same pump fake from the three and drove in about 5 times last night. So it was great seeing those moments. Drew Holiday, not trying to be the scorer that we know he can be sometimes, but he made sure that he did everything else. Um, it's disheartening to see a guy like Monty Williams and Chris Paul lose the finals, especially after finally making it to that mountaintop. But definitely a deserving win for the Milwaukee Bucks. Very happy for the Milwaukee Bucks, especially for Giannis and Middleton, who were basically getting criticized for the last 2 years for for being them. And they were like Middleton, he's not that guy. They never understood why he was an all-star. He showed up. I mean, like if you look statistically speaking, in all playoffs, um, Chris Middleton had the most clutch playoffs of all time, not just in one game, but for full playoffs.
Hmm.
I think he has like 16 made field goals when either tying the game or taking the lead. That is huge. And so the criticisms of Chris Middleton, cut that out. He did it. Giannis, the biggest thing was he needed a 3 pointer to be a champion. He proved he didn't. It was a full team contribution. I think going off of what Henry said, like getting Drew Holiday and getting rid of Eric Bledsoe was huge for them. When you have somebody that can facilitate, when you have somebody that knows about clock management, when you have a guy that's not um, holding that ball too much, that knows how to pass that ball around and play defense. And Drew Holiday, you understand why the Milwaukee Bucks are finally champions after 50 years.
You definitely do. I want to add on to your Portis point, and I was saying this when the game was on last night. When you look back at the finals, it's always whoever wins. A lot of times, it's always a role player who steps up. Like and I wrote a few guys down like Iguodala, who became MVP. A lot of people probably disagree with that, but Van Vliet in 2019 Ron Artest made a world peace game 7 against the Celtics. I mean, he's an all-star, definitely defensive player of the year type player, but mainly that thing went through Kobe, Gasol, and really Bynum. And Artest was a great addition. I think no, I think Trevor Ariza had a big. He shot big in that series, one game. No, that was against Orlando. That was against
that was against, so yeah.
Orlando. Yeah, he came through. So it's like Portis just added on to that. John Paxson. I mean, against the Lakers, who's open? Pax is open. So it was weird just to see how history repeating itself as far as who's going to come in and be, because like you said, Budenholzer, he's short his bench too. Like I was kind of like, wow, where's Brent Forbes? But because he can shoot, he didn't play the last few games. And then T got minimal minutes. Uh, he didn't really. Connaughton didn't play scared, but he didn't have that game last night. And it was weird with Middleton because he only went 6 of 13. He didn't have a bad game, but I think was Bridges on him. Like, it seemed like he kind of got locked up, but he was either tired. He wasn't.
Well, he wasn't really like playing as like an option. He was I think last night was really about, they wanted Giannis to take over, and that's literally what, Middleton and Drew Holiday really did, was just let Giannis take control. Middleton showed up when he needed to and hit him the dagger. So no, but yeah, Middleton was getting locked up, but overall, I think that he knew that it was Giannis's night, and so they just kept feeding Giannis as much as they could.
Yeah, that's true because Giannis just kind of took it upon himself because it was a funny game. Milwaukee jumped up. I was like, oh, this is about to get out of hand. They're going to cruise. Then Phoenix comes back, and then it's like this stalemate where nobody can make shots. Like the whole game wasn't great offensively. It was like, wow, look at the score going into they grinded it out going into the third quarter. Like, are we gonna hit 100? I mean, y'all tired, but it was just like Chris Paul was on for this team, Giannis was on for his team, and but he just, I mean, and I thought people were saying some of the fouls, but it seemed like the free throw the free throw opportunities turned out pretty even. I mean, I don't think it was mainly Giannis getting fouled or going to the line most of the time, but the free throws are right there. So I don't see where it may have been a bad call here or a bad call there or something was missed. I know Booker complains sometimes, but he was just off, and he's got to improve his 3-point shooting. It's still not really good. He was like 20-something% this series.
Yeah, it was very like, I guess the more complaints were going off of the fact that Giannis was getting all those foul calls. At one point in time, Giannis did have more free throws than the whole Suns team. It was like in late in the third quarter, Giannis already was at like 17 free throws attempted, and the Suns were at like 14. So I
Hmm.
think that was where the Suns probably felt like, ref calls. I mean, you're gonna get foul calls called when there's Scott Foster and Tony Brothers are on the court together. That's just gonna happen. So I think that's kind of the bulk of it. But no, when you talk about that stalemate, that's exactly what happened. Um, I knew the Suns were in trouble when you saw Jay Crowder shoot the ball three plays in a row, and I was like, "Ooh, this is." And it's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and you're like, no, you kind of want it in two guys' hands right now, Chris and Devin. If I'm seeing Jay Crowder shoot, he's not that guy when it comes to that. He did hit two clutch threes, but it wasn't clutch enough. Devin Booker missed two open threes, and Chris Paul tried to get to his spot multiple times, but his spot was kind of his kryptonite. It was just not flowing for the Suns.
Yeah, it wasn't. I want to correct myself. Milwaukee did shoot. They ended up shooting 29 free throws to the Suns 19. So percentages pretty much came out the same because Giannis made. But I mean, I mean, if he go into the hole, and that's one thing I heard Monty Williams get criticized about today was the fact that they left Aiton to guard him. They didn't set up the wall properly. But I don't know if Phoenix has the right guys. I mean, Bridges is 6'8", Crowder 6'6", Ayton, but when you don't have another big guy coming off the bench, I mean, maybe you play Kaminsky more or should have played him more in the series, but there you got to have a certain amount of size and length to deal with Giannis. And now he's gotten better. This isn't like against the first time around against Toronto. You got Kawhi, you got Siakam, you got Marc Gasol. Then with Miami, they pretty much had the same team this year, but in the bubble, Butler, Adebayo was. Then they had Crowder too, and another who was their other big guy? Did they use anybody else? Or was that kind of it?
That was kind of it. Adebayo kind of took the majority of the
He guarded them,
yeah, and
but then he got hurt too.
and then I mean there was even times yeah, Jimmy was guarding. So there I mean they had Miami last year definitely had priority when it came to who was guarding Giannis last year. Which helped them, seal that series. Um, but in this year, Miami just could. I think Miami was just too tired. No break really going into that playoff. But this, I mean, for the Suns, and even and I want to hear from Henry. I think missing, and I'm not saying he would make a big deal, but missing Dario Saric was big for the Suns. That's another backup big that could try to defend Giannis. Giannis was just on it, so I don't think anybody was stopping Giannis. There was even one point where DeAndre Ayton went to the bench and put his head down and was tired. It was third quarter, and Chris Paul had to say, "Hey, we're not done. You gotta get up." But I definitely want I don't think anybody could have stopped that man that last night.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. What you going to want to say, Henry?
Oh, I mean, I agree. I mean, as far as, I mean, he was unstoppable last night. It's, offensively. Um, Now, granted, I mean, there are plenty of games where a player scores 50 points and the team still loses. Um, but I didn't see Phoenix. I guess they didn't look aggressive enough to me, offensively, to, and maybe that had something to do with the big, but going down there, trying to get some fouls, getting to the free throw line, just being very aggressive instead of, and setting people up, instead of, okay, well, we're going to give it to, Paul and just kind of see what he can do, or Booker, and he just goes around and just takes a tough shot, and everybody else just kind of like just staring around, not necessarily like, okay, Booker's driving, I see Giannis come over, let me slide over here to set myself up for, a good shot or whatever like that. I didn't see that, especially near the end of the game, because it was a tight game, and it was still only 6 points at one point, and then I think they got it down to 4. I want to say, yeah, they got it down to 4, but and I think that was when it was either 4 or 6 when they threw it down to Ayton, and and he got the ball, and all he had to do literally was, he's posted up and turn around, and he had like a layup. And he does this weird move and just, I can't remember if he threw it back out or he just threw up some random shot or something. Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
he threw up some trash. He was like, oh, like you said earlier, where's Giannis? And he couldn't find him. And sorry about that. And yeah, he was just his youth showed. I mean, but it was funny because interesting that you bring that up because Bridges missed a dunk. Booker, that layup was contested by Holiday, but still kind of like you're right to the basket. Maybe should have been better off trying to just dunk it on him. I know he got blocked earlier in the series by him, but and then I think it was another one 8 missed. Yeah, they were just. I mean, Giannis just set the tone. He was. I heard he almost did. He goaltended a few just kind of to set the tone. Like if you come in this lane, y'all know I'm going to be down here. Everything's going to be contested. and and that clearly crazily got in their head. I mean, and I can't really um press too much or get on Aiton too much because in all honesty, he's just 22 years old. I mean, still got a lot of things to learn. I mean, he drew a tough assignment. Like you're playing the two-time MVP. They got that one play. They didn't know what they were doing on defense. Giannis was like, "Oh, dip! I'm just gonna go in," and he hit a little scoop and layup. Like they were confused on defense, and you can't have that. And then you expect me to stay out of foul trouble, and then this guy's throwing everything. So I gotta, I got my head
I,
on the swivel.
now I am, I'm not expecting him Aiden to do anything with Giannis necessarily defensively. I'm expecting him to, of course, try to hold his own, but offensively, being 7 foot, you know, you're the same height as this guy, or I am expecting you like, okay, I want to post up, be aggressive. I'm the same height as this guy. I want to go right at him. You know, um, that is what I was expecting that.
I guess the counter back. I mean, ain't really not a post player. Phoenix run a lot of that screen and roll with Paul, so it's kind of unfortunate he doesn't have that game because I mean I guess he can't throw a jump hook. So I guess yeah, maybe you switch it up there to where you have to put some pressure back on your opponents. You just can't let even if he is blocking everything. Okay, throw him a pump fake. You gotta come back at him in some way. But it never really went to that because obviously he's like the I guess the third option or is mainly Booker, then Chris Paul. Chris Paul was hitting his jumper off the screen and roll, but that's just keeping you in the game. I mean, Bridges didn't do much. Cam Johnson didn't get to shoot much. Uh, nobody else was really open. They're kind of designed to stand around and just wait to see what happens with Booker and Paul.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe the
Why
offense
are
is
you
kind of.
pump faking, man? At 7 foot, you shouldn't be pump
Well, I
having to do
guess you have to
those.
pump fake when with the gather yourself. I mean, at least get a foul or I mean, if you're not gonna go under the guy's chest, because in that one year he went up, I don't know if he went up soft, but Giannis threw that jump to half court. And he was like, goaltend. Like, nah. I guess in that instance, yeah, I need to go up and make a statement back. Okay, I'm gonna try to dunk on you, dude. I mean, if you block it, you block it, but I'm not gonna go up, throw up some little soft go bear floater.
Now there was multiple moments where DeAndre kind of showed that this is still his only third year in the
Third
league.
year.
Um, there was multiple times Giannis would drive to the baseline, and DeAndre would literally give 1 foot and then stop. He wouldn't go completely. He wouldn't move, slide correctly because he was always thinking that somebody was going to be behind. And I'm just like, dude, you're the center. You got to go all the way with him.
Hmm.
If he cuts back, fine, but you can't stop because Giannis. One thing we know about Giannis don't stop.
No,
So
no.
there was definitely moments, and then of course, like DeAndre had situations where he didn't know what Giannis was going to do. One, Giannis had a fadeaway last game. Who knew? Like he's been trying to do that shot all playoffs, and he's been missing. And then he started doing the fadeaway, looking like Dirk a little bit, and he was making it. So it's that it's kind of unknown for DeAndre. It's yo, okay, Giannis is doing what he does, and I'm getting foul calls every time. But then when he tries to do something different, oh shoot, he's hitting those too. I think DeAndre in third quarter, as I said, when he put his head down, it was like like he didn't want to do anything on offense. He wanted to do as much as he could on defense and just couldn't.
Let me ask you this, Keion. If you were coaching, would you have started to maybe double off of Holiday since he was shooting so bad, or who else is out there? Probably Connaughton. I mean, you don't
Who
want
knows?
Middleton to get hot, but
It's very hard to adjust to something like that because of the fact of when the main guy is going off like that, and may I mind you, both teams were sloppy in the first half. Nobody was hitting shots like that. I think in the first 4 minutes was only like 4 points. like
Yeah.
so in that situation, I think what I would have done is like what we said earlier, the wall. They needed a wall. Um, Jay Crowder tried his best to guard Giannis, and you saw Monty trying to throw people at Giannis, but it just wasn't working. Um, and then, I mean, the biggest thing is, and it's very funny for Giannis, his biggest moment of this finals is that 17 of 19 from free throw. When you, everybody was kind of content fouling Giannis, but when he's making so many, then there was the Mike Breen even said that Giannis had a game one time where he was like 16 for 16.
Mhm.
So it's very tough when Giannis is hitting his free throws because that's kind of what you banked on. It was like, look, if Giannis comes into the paint, and you're probably saying this as a coach, if Giannis comes into the paint and he's about to do his move, you better foul him enough that he doesn't get an and one because we know he ain't making both his free throws. But then he makes them. You can't do nothing with that. So I don't think there's really a coaching adjustment that Monty Williams could have done for Giannis. Giannis was just on one. The funny thing is, if Giannis was making his free throws like he did yesterday, we would have probably seen 350-point games in a row.
Oh yeah, because
Yeah.
he had the game one and game two. He had 40, or game two and game three, game two and game three.
2 and 3, he had 40.
Yeah.
Yep. You're right.
Uh, Henry, what do you think the Suns need to hopefully make a run like this again? I mean, a lot of people saying it's Rob Parker's big on saying the run was fugazi. I mean, you never met a healthy team until pretty much the end, even though Chris Paul had a few injuries and Devin Booker had his nose busted up. But uh, I mean, heck of a run to go from, I mean, in the 10-year playoff drought. What do you see Phoenix going from here?
Um, I see them. Yeah, I see them as a playoff team. Now as far as whether they can get back to the finals, uh,
You
I don't
doubt,
see
you
that
doubt.
happening.
Come on, you
Yeah,
doubt me.
I just don't see that happening. In the West, when you're, because the Lakers are going to regroup. They're going to get, be a little better. Then you have the Golden State. If Klay Thompson, see how he comes back um, with him and Curry. So I mean, there's the Jazz. They had a good strong season, and then if Murray's coming back with Denver. So I mean, you got a lot of strong contenders. The Clippers, if well, Kawhi, uh, they're expecting him to resign with the Clippers, and which I think he probably will. Now, I don't know when he'll be ready as far as with that, his injury and stuff like that. But you know, you got them. So, man, I think it's going to be tough for the Suns to get back. And Chris Paul isn't getting any younger, so every year he's getting a little older. So I think this was probably their time. That window is definitely um, closing. It's closing fast, for Tim. To me at least.
Do you
So
see do you see Chris Paul opting in for his 44 mil, or you see him there are already rumors out there that the Lakers are looking
hey, I mean,
to
look, I wouldn't put anything past Bron. If Bron can get him because he wants another ring. Of course, is extremely badly. So no other reason so he can have because that'll give him what, six?
no,
Bron gets another ring,
five.
5. Okay. Well, he definitely wants 2 more rings, so another reason he could have the same amount as Jordan. But yeah, I mean, wow, if Chris Paul, I mean, it's hard to turn down 44 million though. And he had a good season. He may have good chemistry and everything there with Phoenix. So he may actually. I'll be surprised if he left, honestly. But the Lakers would be if he left to go to the Lakers. That is definitely tempting. Him, LeBron, AD. If everybody remain healthy, I definitely think they can get to the finals.
The
Yeah, they have.
last that press conference that Chris Paul had, I don't know. I think that said something a little bit. Like it's very hard to say that he will stay with the Suns. I always said during the playoffs, if Chris Paul wins, I definitely see him on the Lakers. I personally think he'll run it back with the Suns, but it wasn't for certain of where he would go based on that press conference. I do think he really is going to think about it. Um, but we also know the Lakers have a contingency plan. If they don't get Chris Paul, they're also trying to get Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but they need a point guard. I mean, because what Schroeder's out, so but I mean they're gonna be this that'll be risky, man. I mean, not so much with Westbrook, but definitely with Paul, with him and LeBron both being 37. Yeah, you can make one last run, and then AD, will he be able to stay healthy enough? I mean, it's a lot of questions, but I feel like the angle the Lakers can come at Paul with is the fact that, okay, look, man, I mean, you're up against it as far as time left in your best years of basketball, getting the championship. We got these pieces. Okay, you took OKC to the playoffs last year. Nobody thought that would happen. A lot of things worked out in your favor, but hey, in the end of in um the fact is you led Phoenix, who nobody thought would get that far, to the championship. And next year, you're probably not going to be that fortunate. Yes, there was some quote unquote breaks, some things to go you guys' way. But hey, man, you did all you could with that. Opt out and ask for a trade, and we'll work something out. Come on over here. And it's almost an assured appearance again. I mean, I think that's the I can't find the word, but that's the not marketing, but that's the y'all get what I'm trying to say. That's the
Yeah,
angle.
we understand. I
Yeah,
understand the selling point.
Yeah.
the angle they want to take. Yeah, that's. I mean, it just seems hard to resist, but
I think it would be kind of sad though if Chris leaves the Suns, especially with his relationship with Monty. Like Monty got an extension, I think, as head coach, and so I wouldn't want to see Chris really leave Monty high and dry like that, especially knowing that Chris Paul did make a huge difference for the Suns, getting to that point that they're at now. Like next year, people are healthy. AD finally gets 5 months of, or three to 4 months of rest. LeBron gets his 3 to 4 months of rest. Um, Kawhi, who might not be back until like maybe the second half of the season next year, but he's going to get his rest. Henry brought up Clay, which is huge. For the West, it's always playoff spots. They come and go, and I just don't want to see the Suns, kind of go through the same thing that kind of the Heat went through, where they don't make it to the play. Well, they get swept out the first round after making it to a finals. I don't want to see that, or the same thing with the Lakers losing in the first round after making it to a finals. I want to see the Suns thrive. But at the same time, like the biggest thing for the Suns, and hopefully if they keep it together, other than Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, and Frank Kaminsky, I think everybody's like what 26 and younger. So I mean, still a lot of promise for the Suns.
Do you see them being able? I think they need somebody off the bench who can maybe create like a kind of like a six man, like a Jordan Clarkson type guy, Lou Will type guy. I think they need that along with some size, but I'm not really sure who's out there that they can maybe convince to come over there and play. I haven't had a chance to look over who's a free agent or what moves they can make.
The funny thing is, Chris probably should call Dennis Schroeder.
Oh yeah, he did play with him in OKC.
And Dennis Schroeder does well when he's a six man. I think that was like the biggest issue with the Lakers was once I saw that Dennis Schroeder was starting, I was like, this ain't working. Like you need guys to continue having their six man status. There's a reason why Luke Williams, who could start for multiple teams, stays six man. Jordan Clark, Jamal Crawford, same way. Um, but I agree with you. They do need a six man, but I also think they need a scoring forward. Um, I think a lot of pressure goes on DeAndre Ayton. He can score, but I don't need him to be a primary scorer. I think they need a scoring forward. They can get a guy like Will Barton, who's about to be a free agent, who can play small forward. I think that can do well for the Sun.
I would say maybe Norman Powell, but I don't see him coming off the. Well, he came off the bench in Toronto, and they said he's not going to opt in to Portland.
Yeah. So I mean, like, you need guys like that. Like Cam Johnson's nice, but Cam, as you said before, they stand around. Mikael Bridges stands around. A lot of guys. You need guys that can handle that ball and kind of just score when they need to. Maybe like a Terrence Ross.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I see.
yeah, because he just in Orlando, man. I guess I don't know if the weather. He's just down there like I'm good with it. I mean, I'm on the contract.
No taxes.
What do you say? I'm the captain now. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, they have to. They definitely have to make some adjustments because the same luck is probably not going to come around. They're not definitely not a bad team, but they may have been a little ahead of the curve this year. And if they but I guess campaign could come back, but it's like if he comes back, then say you brought in a shooter, you might. I guess you can have a small backcourt coming off the bench. I mean, you have two guys attacking at least.
I forgot about campaign. He didn't get a lot of minutes.
Yeah, he kind of fell off the down the stretch. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, Chris Paul was kind of rolling definitely in Game 6. He was rolling. So if Payne's not making the three or getting to the rack, I mean, I don't think he's playing great defense, and he's definitely gonna get beasted by Holiday because he's small. It's just smaller than Chris Paul. So I mean, the Suns made a much credit to them for the run they made, but Milwaukee, I just think they're what they've been through and definitely having Giannis and the additions they made took them over the hump. And once they kind of figured out things, the NBA proves us once again you have to go through some downtrodden times, some heartbreak. Teams just don't come out the blue and win a lot of times.
That is true.
And that's why a lot of fans' opinions are kind of trash. It's just like, once again, it was 2 to 3 years that people were just saying the Bucks can never make it. And it was just, have y'all not seen the progression? Like, they were only one piece away, and that piece was Drew Holiday. Everybody was like, yo, you need two superstars, you need three superstars, and Giannis and the Bruce. No, you don't. You need guys to play their part. Brooke Lopez shoots threes all the time. And then somebody probably got in his ear and say, "Hey, I just saw your like New Jersey Nets numbers when you never shot a three. Yeah, can you like play like that, dude?" And Brooke Lopez posted what, like 5 dudes in the playoffs? Like it like you got that's what makes this Milwaukee Bucks team so happy because it was really just a team that played their part. And I hate to say play the right way, because that always means something else, but they played the right way. Like, um, you're just so proud. Like Pat Connaughton, I know we said he didn't do a lot, but he's a shooting guard and he had 8 rebounds last night. He played his part. He knew he wasn't scoring. Hey, let me at least get this ball for my boys.
A lot of
So
time he was getting cooked by Booker, but he was right there for them shots. I mean, he plays some as good of defense you can play against a guy like Booker. And he just Booker just made the shots.
and I mean, shoot, there's one guy we haven't talked about this whole time, PJ Tucker.
Oh
They
yeah.
art for the Bucks. Like, one, shout out to PJ Tucker beating his whole starting five of the my team, the Houston Rockets. This whole like that's a storyline you can't make up. Trevor Ariza, Miami, to James Harden in Brooklyn, to Clint Capella in the Hawks, to Chris Paul in the Bucks. Like, you can't make storyline. That's why basketball is great. But like everybody always says, PJ Tucker is the weakest link. Well, from that Rockets team, PJ Tucker got the ring.
I'm glad you brought that up because I saw that. I kept seeing it on Twitter. I couldn't make sense. I wasn't making sense of it. Like, okay, I was just thinking, oh, this is the team he almost made it to the finals with. But now it makes sense. He beat all those guys. Crazy stuff. I know Henry, you gotta run pretty soon. I'm not gonna hold you too long either, Keion, but I want to get what you're expecting to see this offseason and for the Olympics before you go.
Oh man, the Olympics. It's not necessarily the team that I expected to be on the Olympic team. So hopefully they will win. But I tell you, I guess I don't have a whole lot of high hopes. The Olympic team, down through the years, you could just see how it's digressed. You know, um, and I know a lot of people, as far as taking time off and stuff like that with COVID and stuff. So that may have impacted it, with players and stuff this year. Um, but they are really, scraping the barrel, I guess you could say, with some of the players instead of, because a lot of the first choices have opted out and stuff like that are not going to be there. I believe Durant, he's still going to be there. Is that right?
Oh yeah,
He's
he
still
already over there.
okay. So Durant's still there, um, but there aren't a lot of other stars there with him. So
You
an
got
internet.
Dillard, you got Dame,
Well, yeah, I mean that's
Tatum,
uh
Tatum.
well
You,
Tatum. Yeah, I mean I love Tatum. Don't get me wrong. I mean he's I'm a Duke guy, so I love Tatum. Um,
Didn't Tatum get replaced?
no, Bill. I'm looking at it now. Bill and Bill and Love went out. Keldon Johnson and McGee came in. As far as I know, he's still up here.
But he got hurt recently, right?
Oh, maybe, but he didn't. I think he traveled still.
Okay. That's gonna be interesting.
But go ahead, Henry. I know you want to finish your thought. Go ahead, Henry. You still with us or you go? not muted. What you think of the team, Keion?
Hold on, I don't know if you all can hear me, but I can't hear anything. So I
Oh
don't
no,
know if
we can hear you now.
I did something.
Yeah. Well, I want you to finish your thought.
Okay.
I know you got to roll.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I couldn't hear nothing. And okay, I'm back. But so you were saying who was on the team.
Yeah, they got. He's like you said, Tatum might be hurt, but you got Zach LaVine. You got. They did lose Bill. I'm trying to think of who's another scorer. You got Booker prop supposed to be coming and Middleton.
Okay. Well, I mean, you got Booker, you got Middleton, so you do have um some good shooters and some clutch people. So they may not be necessarily first tier stars, but that should be enough, for us to win. I would think for us to win gold. I don't know a whole lot about the international competition right now as far as what some other, what some of those other teams have. I don't know if Luka's gonna play.
Oh yeah.
Okay, all right. Well, I have to see how his team is because they may end up, competing as well. So.
Yeah, because I think it's his team. I can't call the name right now. Keion might know the name of. I'm drawing a blank. Slovenia, yeah. Nigeria beat us the exhibition. They handled France. Freaking Pau Gasol still playing, man,
and balling.
Really?
Oh man.
Balling.
What?
Man.
Wow.
Dude's our age, man. 41, 42, man. Come on.
Wow.
And Scola's out there too.
Mm-hmm. Patty Mills, Australia beat us.
That's right. That was the other team. They only have Ben Simmons, right?
Don't even have Ben Simmons.
Well, that's okay. That's not a big loss. They're probably better off.
Well, appreciate you as always, Hudson, man. I know you got a roll. Me and Keion gonna continue on for a few more minutes, and then that'll be it. But appreciate you, man.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me, and definitely enjoyed you all.
Same here, man. Till next time, I'll catch you, bro.
All right, I have a good one.
You too. Hey, so Keion, do you like Henri was saying? I feel like we've become so accustomed to having to have all these superstars, and I don't necessarily think that's the best thing, especially when the world is caught up. Okay, yeah, it was good for Dream Team 1 and 2, and then we fell off. Kobe and them came back and was like, well, Kobe, yeah, but mainly LeBron, Carmelo.
Dream Team.
Yeah, the Redeem Team. Was Wade on that team too?
I don't think Wade was on that team. It was Bosh. I knew Darren Williams was on it. Kobe, Iguodala. I don't. Wade was. I think Chris Paul was on there.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember Dwayne Wade, but
Been.
that team was. I mean, the Dream Team and Redeem Team. What sets them apart from what this team brings? Granted, we got all the shooters, but when you're looking at our team, there's no play. It's nothing but ISO guys. Tatum, ISO, Dame, ISO, Kevin, like even Middleton's ISO. Like that's going to be the difficult part, and that's probably why I'm not so intrigued with it, because you're not seeing a lot of God like Dream Team was crazy because you had two big facilitators, Magic Johnson and John Stockton. That was huge. Like and then you had your Wars and Michael Jordan, Gary Bird. But the same thing for the Redeem team. Like you had guys that could facilitate. Kobe Bryant was really good.
Defense.
LeBron and then Darren Williams. Like
I'm sorry, your mic's cutting out in and out for some reason. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, just you had some facilitators on the Redeem team and the Dream team that made it very, very entertaining for the to watch the USA. This team got Drew Holiday coming, and
That's your defense, at least.
Dame did a little bit of facilitating this year, but are you really going to see team basketball when it comes to USA? Are you going to be like, oh, hey, I'm not on, you get on. Hey, I'm not on, you get on. Like, it's not really an intriguing team.
What about, but Bam facilitates, he can facilitate now. I didn't see him. The game I did see against, was it Spain or France?
Oh, when they
Spain?
whipped them. Yeah, that was
Spain, right?
Spain.
Yeah, now I did see how Keldon Johnson can help because he was just cutting to the basket, simple basketball. And then they got a few runouts. I mean, Levine blew by his man, dunked ferociously. They found Dame in the corner when they kind of stretched it out. Some plays I remember, but I mean, maybe Bam, and then you have Draymond. I guess they'll be kind of facilitating. Now, this just depends on what Popovich wants to do, but
I just
yeah,
really, I just really hope that what this is going to show is what players are leaders. Like these are guys that have been criticized. A lot of these guys have been criticized for leadership in the NBA. So what happens when they're together for for Olympics? Kevin Durant, how much of a leader you're going to be? Dame, how much of a leader are you going to be? Jason Tatum's been criticized for leadership, and I think that's really what it's going to be looked at for the Redeem team and Dream team. They were leaders. Everybody on that team, or majority, were leaders, and there's no questioning their leadership. And they didn't even need a ring to prove that they were leaders. But with this team, we're really going to see who sacrifices. I think the guy that sacrifices the most will be the guy that catches my attention the most.
okay, yeah. But I like I said earlier, I did like the addition somewhat. I don't know much about Keldon Johnson, but if he just brings defense, that's good because you have enough scoring. And then JaVale, I mean, as much of a clown as he is, he's tall, he can roll, and if that ball is hanging on there in the rim, bouncing around, hopefully he has enough sense to knock it off, defend. And they did need some height because they say these teams are back cutting a lot. They're not just, I mean, now there's some talent out there, obviously. I mean, I don't know if Embiid's playing, but I know Jokic isn't playing. Like we said, Luka's playing.
Mm-hmm.
Uh
Patty Mills,
Mills.
um,
The Nigerian team, they didn't really have. I saw Okafor, Jaleel Okafor.
Precious from the Miami Heat. No, I mean, but these guys, and also think about it like this: for Nigeria, it's a lot of guys that played for the Basketball African League.
Okay.
So those are guys that have now played organized professional basketball. So them losing to Nigeria wasn't really surprising to me. BAL just got out of a season, and those guys are fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I like let's be real. Guys in the NBA still are not fresh. They just played a year and a half of basketball. Like to be honest, so it's gonna be, as I said, it's gonna be interesting to see who sacrifices the most because that's what's gonna help USA basketball win. Other than that, like you're just gonna see a whole bunch of chucking and throwing.
I think, and I'm probably thinking about writing something up. Definitely, it's been going through my mind. I need to write some up. But this next go around, what would that be? 24.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at some of the young talent guys like Trae Young complaining. I don't think they need him right now, but Zion if he's healthy, John Morant, and then I have to look at some other I mean, I'm wondering will Steph Curry ever get there? I mean, he's going to be older by then.
I don't think Steph's going to do
He
it.
go. I mean, I
I
think
don't
that
think
would.
Steph is kind of on his chill tip when it comes to off season.
Yeah, he's playing. I just read that he's playing golf. He chose golf and thinking about I guess, his own injury history.
Yeah.
At that point, a guy like Klay Thompson would be good. And I'm trying to think of some other.
Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, him maybe. I mean, you get a shooter there, you get Duncan Robinson, or you get the other hero. Then as far as bigs, I'm trying to think. I mean, maybe some of these young guys getting
Karl
drafted.
Anthony Towns. I mean, there's now it's interesting. USA bigs are not really bigs anymore. So, like, that's why you have a Draymond Green and JaVale McGee just wants to follow the footsteps of his mom, which would be cool if they both. I mean, JaVale wins gold and can share that moment with his mom. But it's going to be interesting. Like Karl Anthony Towns, Andre Ayton, not actually.
Bahamas.
Mm.
So is he qualified? Is that no? He can't.
I don't think he's qualified.
He might have to do something like Akeem Olajuwon obviously did. Olajuwon did something where he.
Or Tim Duncan did.
Yeah.
Did something to play. And then it kind of, but it also kind of stinks because like I didn't like that Eka Agumake or Elizabeth Williams play for Nigeria have dual citizenship.
What's the deal with that?
So Nneka, they tried to play for the Nigerian team after Nneka didn't make the USA team, which was a travesty. Don't understand why. But apparently they tried to do their application denied because Nneka Agumake had too much tenure with USA basketball. But I kind of think that's unfair. Like, you have dual be able to play for the country, no matter if it is USA or not. Plus, makes the game more interesting. Each two. Khalil Okafor playing for Nigeria? I didn't know like that was even a thing. So, it's not like, I mean, if South Africa had a team, would you really be upset if Steve Nash played on South Africa instead of Canada? Exactly. So I don't know how that rule is going to go for if, as I said, I don't think DeAndre Ayton is American, or if
He's Bohemian. I know that much.
Yeah, like, so I don't know if he counts. Like, it just is up to the Olympics to make that decision.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll find a way to fill out the roster and all these the increasing influx of young talent. I mean, by then we'll see what Jalen Green is and some of these other Jalen's.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham, guys like that. Like, we'll see it in this new draft. Shoot, Luka Garza might make it to a USA team one day.
And speaking of the draft, I just wanted to get your what are you expecting from the draft in this upcoming off season? Before I know it, we'll be looking at training camp.
This draft is going to be very interesting, I think, for a lot of people because of, we had a COVID NCAA. And a lot of guys, I mean, the big schools were not in the tournament. So now we're in a situation where a lot of guys in the draft may be good, who play for who are coming from, school, stuff like from college and stuff like that. But we really don't know a lot about them. And that's what's kind of cool about this draft is that it's the unknown. Scouts had to really scout it. So you're about to see who comes to the NBA and actually does work. Because if I'm hoping for the best, but the draft class doesn't impress me because I don't know. So we'll see.
Who do you see the Rockets drafting, and where are they drafting again?
Second.
They got second, right? Okay.
Second. Um,
Mobley.
I think it might be Evan Mobley. Uh, I think having a big well, Evan Mobley kind of forward big. Um, Kind of helps the Rockets a little bit. It's going to be very interesting because um, we now have Kevin Porter Jr., who might be the new face of the Rockets. John Wall, I don't expect to stay. Christian Wood's good, and if Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood can work together, they can be a Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton situation. They actually play tough and have that energy. So we'll see.
Yeah, I also hear a lot on some podcasts I listen to about the guy Jay Sean Tate. I think I'm saying it.
Not
Hey, he's
yeah,
pretty.
all rookie team. He's nice. He still needs to develop his game, I think, a little bit more. I think that being put in a situation where you're on a bad team and you can kind of free ball it out there. But I like the potential that the Rockets have. They also have Kenny Martin Jr. The boy can jump. Um, so I like Houston. My team is struggling, but I think that with the young players, as well as if you looked at the Suns and seen how their young players play, and like it makes you motivated for your team when you have nothing but young players. So we'll see. I mean, Eric Gordon is the vet of the team. So it'll be interesting to see what the Rockets do and who has their sophomore slump, who has who builds up that Rockets team. It'll be really really interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. One of my favorite times of the year. I'm kind of getting out of touch with the draft because I guess I'm just getting up there in age, and you see these guys play in college, but you're not like then almost every team is looking for somewhat. All the players are so similar now. You're like all the teams are kind of carbon copies of each other to an extent. So it's like, okay, who are they going to draft? And it's going to be some guy we don't know from overseas who might be really nice, but it's just always kind of weird. But then you got free agency too, so we'll see if there's many moves and whether Kawhi Leonard opts out, whether Chris Paul opts out, and really whoever else. I don't see a lot of movement, but I know some guys want to get out of certain situations and may like with Bill and Westbrook. Will they try to work their way out of Washington? Will they stay there and play for the new coach, Wes Unseld Jr.?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like, well, are guys willing to do that? Maybe go through another rough season of almost making the playoffs. And Kemba Walker, will he stay in OKC? I doubt it, but Dame is he's saying he doesn't know about his future, but you signed the contract, so
and but Portland messed up on that. Portland told Dame, you can get the control that you wanted, but then you couldn't get the coach that you wanted. And I think that put a lot into his head. Like, you know, as well as the fact that when you give a player so much control, I think for that player now it's like it's all on you. Like basically Dame is put in a situation James Harden was put in. The difference is the James Harden situation wasn't public. So you didn't know James Harden was making those behind the scene moves. For Portland now, you know Damian Lillard is going behind the scenes. So you kind of put Dame in a bad situation. So now if Portland doesn't succeed, put all the blame on Dame, especially when Terry Stotts is out. So it's going to be interesting for Dame. I don't think he leaves. I don't think he requests a trade. I think he is a loyal guy. Um, but I mean, for Portland, you don't expect Portland to get back to when they went to the Western Conference Finals. Don't.
They're going to have to make a trade, or they're going to have to improve their defense in some way. I mean, your defense can't continue to be that bad. I mean,
You got to get rid of Melo.
or CJ McCollum.
You got to get rid of people. If you don't want Dame to leave, you got to get rid of everybody else that does not help Damian Lillard.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see if any moves are made as far as them, because that can go south real quick, especially if dudes like, yeah, just who's looking at me, working. This is where I want to go.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I appreciate it, Keion, man. Thank you for coming on so much, man. I know you got another show you're gonna be joining Ian and Lawrence on Two Piece and the Biscuit. And people listening, definitely check out that podcast as well. I might even show up on there as well, but I'm not sure yet. But thank you so much, Keion. Appreciate all your knowledge, man, and time.
No problem. No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Take it easy until next time.
Yes, sir.
And well, folks, that's it. That's another edition of the All Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Maurice Dixon. Thanks again to Henri and Keion for coming on and talking about these NBA Finals with me. And we made some predictions as far as what we think the offseason will hold. And as always, we'll see how it plays out. Make sure you subscribe and like the All Basketball Podcast. You can find it on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Main thing, be sure to subscribe so you can always get this basketball knowledge. Toned down show tonight, but some good information we got to you out there. Thank you once again for listening. I'm your host, Maurice Dixon. And until next time, peace and be blessed in Jesus' name.